Hello, and welcome to One Cool Thing, PC Mag's daily show where we talk to you about one cool thing that we've been testing out here in PC Labs. I'm Tom Brandt, this is Jim Fisher, and today for you, we are showing off not just a remote control, but a remote control that is connected to the new DJI Mavic Air drone. It's a smaller and less expensive version of the DJI Mavic Pro, which is one of the best drones you can buy, but this is still really cool. We can't wait to talk to you about it. In the meantime, definitely ask us questions that you might have by typing them in the comments on Facebook, or if you're watching this later on YouTube or somewhere else on the internet, we're sorry that we can't answer your questions live, but definitely come back tomorrow and we'll have another cool thing for you. So, Jim, this is the DJI Mavic Air, and we're going to do some demos, fly around with it, but what do we got here?
Well, we should show it off first. I think that should be the first step. So let's.
It needs no introduction.
We'll just take it up here. All right, here is the DJI Mavic Air. And I'm going to try and bring this in for a landing here.
Okay.
So we don't have any propeller noise for the rest of the show.
Right.
You know, it's always fun to show it off. I can't actually back up too much because I'm standing behind it. It's got rear obstacle avoidance, so that's enabled. So I'm gonna.
So we're attempting to land on the pedestal here, but because of that avoidance thing, we're gonna land it wherever we can. Oh yeah, nice, there.
I'll just bring it to the side. Live demo is always fun. Am I over this thing perfectly? Yeah, that should do it.
Yeah, there we go. Nice.
Okay, that's why I get paid to do this.
So we have successfully landed at the DJI Mavic Pro.
Air.
Mavic Air.
Yes.
And so, yeah, walk us through that and what else can it do?
All right, this is DJI's. It is not technically its smallest drone. The Spark is smaller when it's open and ready to fly, but this is practically the smallest drone because what it does that the Spark does not do. The Spark is DJI's kind of entry level. Originally it was $450, but I think it's selling for closer to $300 now drone. This one folds.
Oh, okay. So the big advantage here is portability.
Yeah. This one folds up and you just do the little thing there, and this guy slides under there. And here you have a drone that, while it's not going to fit into most pants pockets, is certainly jacket pocketable.
Sure.
Or vest pocketable if you're a photo vest type person.
So you don't need to lug around a suitcase. There's some drones out there that I can't remember what's it called, but there's an egg drone that's huge.
The Power
Obviously,
Egg.
Yeah, the Power Egg's huge.
Power Vision.
The Mavic Pro is bigger. This thing is really portable.
The Mavic Pro is not that much bigger.
Yeah.
It's bigger, but it's not practically bigger. The Mavic Pro, this one, I always say, when this is folded, this kind of fits into the 24 to 70 millimeter f2.8 slot in your camera bag, whereas the Mavic Pro is more the 70 to 200 type size, if you've got, you know, a dual purpose kit for terrestrial and aerial photos. Here's the battery. The battery, one battery comes with the standard kit, is good. DJI says 21 minutes. Our tests, where we actually do battery rundown, came in closer to 18 on average.
So that's from takeoff to touchdown. So
Yeah.
by the time you get to the position you need to take a camera, you're going to have 15 minutes or so, or try to take a picture.
Yeah, you know, it takes about, give yourself a minute,
Yeah.
you know, to take off and land buffer time.
Yeah.
So you've got a good 15 minutes in the air of being able to fly around and do different things.
Now, once you're up there, what kind of video quality can you expect?
It's really good video quality. It's a 1/2.3 inch sensor, the same as the Mavic Pro. It does 4K UHD at 24 or 30 frames a second, and 1080p at 60. I think it actually goes up to 120 if you want to do slow motion. Slow motion video from a drone can be cool if you're like shooting fast action on the ground.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to do slow motion of actually landscape, of flying and looking at the landscape, it's not worth it. Just go for the more resolution because it looks slow enough when you're up there at altitude.
Right.
So I mean, I've flown drones that do like, you know, 65 miles an hour, the Inspire 2, And even when you're cruising along that top speed, if you're high enough, if you're at 300, 400 feet and you get a wide angle lens on there, it doesn't look like you're really blistering along.
Right. So you basically want to avoid slow motion in most cases, unless you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about how you actually fly this thing and what some of its other capabilities. Before we do that, let's take a question.
What do we do in the battery rundown tests?
I fly it. DJI's standard battery test, I believe, is just a hover test, to hover in place and to see how long it lasts. We just do normal flying, take it up, fly around, do some ascents, some descents. It's not a strict script that I follow, but I just do what I'm doing normally with the drone. What you would, I think, a user would do normally with the drone, and we do at least 3 trials. If I don't run the battery all the way down, we do some math to extrapolate what it would have gotten if, 100%. If I fly to 50% battery, it's pretty easy to extrapolate.
Yeah, I mean, this battery testing is a challenge for pretty much every device that we review, whether it's a smartphone or a drone, because you're not going to get that same, the conditions that we tested the battery for this are not going to be the same that you're going to be flying it in. It might be different weather, it might be different altitudes.
The wind and altitude, and even your elevation above sea level, where you're flying at. Are factors.
The density of the air is a huge factor.
So we, I think by doing several tests and averaging them together, we get a good ballpark estimate about what to actually expect in real life.
Now, if you are concerned about battery life, there are some additional batteries that you can buy and things like that, right?
There's a Fly More combo that I believe it's $9.99, and it comes with 2 extra batteries, some extra propellers in case you break one. This does ship with propeller guards as well.
So $9.99 for that package, that's more than the drone costs.
Well, that includes the drone.
Oh, it includes the drone. Okay.
That's the drone plus, instead of one battery, you get 3 batteries.
Okay.
And a few other accessories.
So would you recommend people do that, or it depends on what they're doing?
It depends on what you're doing. The thing is, by the time you spend $1,000 on this, if you're buying the extra batteries to get the longer flight time, you might want to look at the $1,100 Mavic Pro Platinum, which did 28 minutes in our test on a single battery. Now, there are some things this drone does, it's newer, that the Mavic Pro Platinum does not do. One of them is gesture control, which we first saw in the Spark. So when you're out and about, even if you don't have the remote, power it up, you can hit this button on the back twice, or you can activate it through the app, and you can do hand motion controls. And it's a little tight in here to do that with this, with this space, because it backs up and it's not as accurate control as the remote. So I'm not going to take it up and do gesture controls here, but you can basically, and I did this out in the field, wave your hand to move it back and forth, up and down. You can push your palm down and land it. You can flash a V or peace sign, and something's beeping at me. I think it's the remote.
Oh yeah, it's lost the signal or something.
Turn that off.
Yeah.
This will start a self-timer on the drone, and it'll snap a picture of you. 3 seconds later, the front lights will blink to let you know that it's getting ready to take a picture. Or you can do a little picture frame icon, and that'll start video. When you're using gesture, you're limited to 1080p.
Mm-hmm. But still, the ability to control a drone via gesture is really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that is amazing. And does it work? I mean, how accurate is it?
It works pretty well. I mean, it's not something I do in tight spaces, and it's not something that's going to get you long range control. You've got to be within like 20 feet, to control it. But if you want to take it up for a quick selfie or a quick group shot, and don't want to get the remote out, it's perfectly practical.
Cool. So let's also talk about how the remote controls. But before we do, let's take another question.
Because it's a smaller drone, do you have problems flying it in heavy wind?
I didn't have any issues with it that I wouldn't have with wind that you can't take the Mavic Pro up in. It's got a very small airframe, so the wind is not going to hit it as much as a Phantom, the larger Phantom. And it's pretty light, but it's still, with the GPS stabilization and the power of the motors, it stays right in place. Now, I didn't go on any super heavy wind days. I did take it down to Cape May at the tip of New Jersey, southern tip of New Jersey, and did some sunrise footage. And I was dealing with probably 15-mile-per-hour winds that morning.
And actually, we have the 360-degree image.
Right.
That
that's one thing we can
here
segue
at the
into.
beach in New Jersey.
Yep. We can segue.
Great.
We can segue into this. One of the things this does that the Mavic Pro series does not do at this time is panoramic stitching. So this took 27 images and it stitched them into a 360-degree shot. Now you can see here, as Tom is panning around this image, we have some stitching errors here. We have some weird things going on with exposure. The beach is different, the sand on the beach is brighter or darker depending on which frame it's taken from. And I spoke to the reps at my contacts at DJI about that, and this is something they know about. When the sun is in the shot, and a sunrise shot like this is great for drones, great, to make it look pretty and have nice light, you can get some serious exposure issues. I did another 360 in the review that was shot on a very overcast gray day, and that exposure was dead on fine. That's the next one down.
So let's talk about, oh yeah, so here we see the other 360-degree image, less challenging light conditions.
Yeah, overcast day.
Yeah.
It was still morning. We're seeing some stitching errors there in the tree. If you pan back to the left, that particular cherry tree there, right in the center, you can see there's a seam line kind of here in this tree, and you can see the blur there that's not there. But and I'm also in this one, and I'm a little ghosted from movement.
Oh, right.
So, whenever you're dealing with panoramic stitching, subject motion is your enemy. So wind blowing tree branches is going to give you blur errors, because if it's on the stitch line, you're taking the image, the drone's got to reposition itself in between shots, that's going to be a thing.
All right, so we got photo quality, we got 360-degree photo quality. Let's talk about the actual control via the app and the remote.
Sure, let's back up.
Oh, okay.
I just want to say a couple other things.
Okay, sure.
In addition to the panoramic photos, it shoots 12 megapixel JPEG or RAW shots. You can really tone the heck out of a RAW file and make it look great. The JPEG also has an HDR mode, which is very helpful in the sunrise, sunset type shots.
Yeah. Well, actually, let's take another question.
Then we'll talk remote.
What kind of range did you get while flying?
This one does not have quite the same range as the Mavic Pro, which uses DJI's Light Bridge. This is not as strong a connection, but I still, down by the beach where there's not a lot of Wi-Fi interference, I want to say I flew at a good 2,000 feet and had no problems at all, which is beyond line of sight. So that's, what the FAA recommends, is sticking with line of sight, so you're not gonna have any problem there. In the more crowded suburban environment here, and this is in Newark, New Jersey, so it's, plenty of Wi-Fi and cell tower and all this other interference. I got about 1,200 feet before the signal started getting a little choppy.
And that's the video signal that you're
The video
looking
signal's
at
to the
on
remote.
phone.
That's not the control signal. The control signal is going to get you longer than the video signal. And if you do happen to lose control signal, this does have automatic return to home.
Yeah, but ultimately you're probably going to move yourself so that you can see the video signal before you lose
If you start
control
seeing
signal.
the video go choppy, just turn the thing
Yeah.
around and bring it back home.
Yeah, right,
Just,
right.
That's the safest, smartest thing to do.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about the app and the remote.
All right, so you've got the DJI Go 4 app, and you can use that to fly the remote, with the on-screen controls. If you want to, I don't recommend it. It's fine if you're doing one of the quick shots, which are the automated, where the drone flies itself, but the on-screen joysticks are very kludgy. They don't respond very well. The remote's a better way to go, and it's included, so you don't have to.
And the drone is so small that you should not have to leave the remote at home
Right.
because you don't have room.
No, especially not the size of the remote too is
Yeah.
pocketable.
Yeah.
The remote, it's got control sticks. This is your elevation, and this rotates around the axis. This moves forward, backwards, left to right in space. You've got a switch to go into the high-speed sport mode. You've got pause, which just stops the drone in its place. If you're looking like it's going to run into something, just hit that pause button. You've got a return to home and land button, a power button, photo and video record buttons, programmable function button, and a little wheel here to adjust the gimbal tilt, and an FN button as well to activate secondary functions. The remote's very, very nice.
And now it has an internal battery, right? So
Yep.
you charge
So
it
you
by
charge
plugging it in.
USB cable here. Lightning on the other end. It comes with cables for micro USB and USB-C as well, so you can use it with your Android phone or tablet. The little joysticks come off and stow inside for storage.
That is extremely clever. So
It's
that
neat.
you don't damage the joysticks in your backpack.
or your pocket.
Yeah.
Because by the time this thing folds down, this is definitely pants pocketable.
Yeah, definitely.
This is it's a little
Right.
thicker than your phone,
So-
but it's the size of my iPhone 8 Plus.
So you really
but
don't
thicker.
need to use the phone to control this drone. It's much more accurate to use the remote.
Use the remote.
It's nice to have the ability for the smartphone control, but really the remote's the way to go.
Right, and it's got the clip for your phone so you can see the live view of the video. You can also fly it with the remote itself and not the phone if you're just doing something quick, and you can use the on-screen controls. It'll use whatever settings you used last time for video quality setting. But again, it's better to have the whole package set up because then you can see what the drone sees. You can have access to all the different functions as far as automated shots and video controls go.
Now, when you're flying, if you live in an urban area, you're probably gonna have some areas to avoid, and this thing makes it easy to do that, right?
Yes, it's got, DJI has a geofencing system that will identify where you are and knows if you're outside or not. So we're in New York City now, which is a no-fly zone outside, but inside we're perfectly legal.
So it knows whether you're inside or outside.
It gave me a warning, said you're in
Oh,
a
okay.
restricted area, but
Okay.
GPS flight not available. But it knew we were inside with no GPS signal, so
Okay.
yeah,
So
it knows
it
where I
won't
am.
let you fly like with it near an airport or things like
Right,
that.
or over Washington D.C. That's something you can't override. There are some different levels of warning area, and we have a map embedded in the review that kind of gives you an idea what it looks like when you look at it in the app or on DJI's website. And if you were in an area where you have permission to fly, you can usually override it with clicking a button. If it's like a more enhanced warning zone near a major airport, and you call the tower for permission to operate, which is something you can do, and they'll give you permission, assuming that you're not, assuming that everything's okay to fly
Yeah.
that day. You might have to do something in the app and log in with your email address to activate it.
Okay.
And there's another level beyond that where you have to call somebody.
Yeah.
But
So
if you don't know where you are and you're concerned about breaking the law or getting arrested, which you don't see a lot, but it's something that could theoretically happen if you're flying in a no-fly zone, this will warn you and say, don't do this.
yeah, and short story. This is not a toy. Know what you're doing before you fly it near, areas.
It looks small, it looks cute, but
It's a drone.
You could hurt somebody with this,
Yeah.
so be careful.
Let's take another question.
Did you mention if there's GPS on this?
It's got dual GPS and GLONASS, the Russian GPS satellites. It looks at both. So it locks on very quickly, locks on very accurately, and hovers perfectly in place when you're outdoors, GPS stabilization. And even indoor, you can see it flying in here. It's got these downward-facing sensors which read the ground and keep it in place.
So let's now talk about alternatives. We talked about the DJI Mavic Pro, which is probably the best overall drone, not that much more expensive. What other things might you consider?
I would.
Or is this it?
That's really it. I mean, if you're spending that amount of money, if you're spending in the $500 to $1,200 range on a drone, the Mavic Pro Platinum or the Mavic Pro, which is now selling at a discount and is just a little shorter battery life than the Pro Platinum because of the propeller design, are both great ways to go. There's still the Phantom series, the larger Phantom series, and there are reasons to go for the Phantom series, mostly with video and image quality, because the Phantom Pro and Phantom Advanced, Phantom 4 Pro and Phantom 4 Advanced have 1-inch image sensors, which are about 4 times the surface area of the one in here, and 20 megapixel still resolution.
Yeah. So it depends on the video, somewhat on the video quality,
Yeah.
but overall, it sounds like from a pilot's perspective, this is an excellent.
Right, and we talked about still imaging in this. We didn't talk about a lot of video. This
Right.
does 4K UHD at 24 or 30 frames, and also has all these quick shots. And the quick shots are kind of easy automated ways to make things look neat. It's got a corkscrew motion, it's got a normal orbit, it's got rocket reveal, which goes straight up and kind of does a selfie and it outputs a finished video for you. And one of the neat new ones they have on this one is Asteroid, which we have queued up on the
Oh
on the
yeah,
YouTube
let's see if
to
we can show that here. Yeah.
which is kind of interesting because it combines video recording and the panoramic stitching to make this.
I don't know if we can actually show I don't know if we can beam YouTube video to Facebook.
So it
that's cool.
kind of does that, and it's a neat little planet effect that combines the video, and it's a nice way to reveals if you're in a pretty place.
So yeah, you can actually check out the Asteroid function and a couple other of these modes at the review at PCMag.com. Let's take another question.
Can you just recap pricing and what comes with the drone?
$799, you get the drone, the remote, 1 battery, prop guards, a carrying case, charger. If you go for the $999 bundle, the $1,000 bundle, the Fly More combo, you get 3 batteries instead of 1, and you get a charger that will charge all 3 at once. I shouldn't say, it charges all 3 in succession. It charges 1 battery at a time. And
But you
when
can
one's-
have them all set up.
They're all.
in the
It's got
charger.
4.
Right.
It's got. You can charge up to 4 batteries in succession without intervention.
So yeah, so basically that is the DJI Mavic Air. Do we have any other questions? Cool. So this is $799.
Yep.
It has, with just the drone, we gave it 4 stars. It's not quite good enough to unseat the DJI Mavic Pro as our editor's choice.
Right.
But this is a great deal for a really fun drone to fly and capable drone.
The reasons you would buy the Mavic Pro Platinum at $1,100 are if you want to fly for a longer time. because by the time you buy the extra batteries for this, then you're in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
The Mavic Pro Platinum got 28 minutes per flight in our testing, which is great.
So definitely check out the full review of both of those at PCMag.com. We will be back tomorrow with yet another one cool thing. And in the meantime, have a good day.